All right, we've called the docket. There's one case remaining. It is DC 212012, Exterior ProStar LLC versus Esperanza Raymond. Mr. Clark is currently calling his client to make sure that she signs on to the Zoom. There had been a continuance filed in this case, and the continuance was withdrawn. So let's go ahead and get started with announcements. Mr. Benitez, if you want to start.
Brian Benitez, Your Honor, Benitez for the plaintiff, along with my partner, Ms. Karen Ensley, Ensley.
Okay. Mr. Clark?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, she says she's going to get on right now. I just talked to my client.
Okay. Let's go ahead and start with opening statements. We'll start with the plaintiff.
We're here today, Judge, essentially on a breach of contract case, with supplemented by common law causes of action, which sounds essentially a quantum error. The issue before the court today is that the evidence is going to show that the plaintiff, which is a roofing and construction and remodeling company, signed a contract March 16 of 2020 with the defendant, Ms. Esperanza Raymond, who is an individual homeowner, after her home was damaged by hail several months prior in October. The terms of the contract are that my client, 911 Roofing, would do all of the repair work that was approved by the homeowner's insurance company, the defendant's homeowner insurance company, for the price that the homeowner's insurance company agreed to pay. And that scope of work and that price can be defined in many ways, including litigation or claims appraisal. Now, this matter actually went to claims appraisal. The claims appraisers came back with a set scope and a set value, and that was communicated to the plaintiff via email August 20 of 2020. We completed the roof. We did a complete removal and replacement of the roof. So as the house sits today, it's got a new roof, never a complaint with regard to construction defect or anything being wrong with it. Evidence is going to show that she received checks from insurance related to the claim that she made on her policy for our work. The evidence is going to show that the policy makes her a trustee of those funds under the Texas Construction Trust Fund Act, but that she wrongfully withheld, spent, or dispersed those funds, a violation of the act, a violation of the contract. At the end of the day, she has paid us $0 for all the work that we have done. Our damage request is in two components. The first one is actual damages for the work that we did for which we were not compensated. The second element of our damage claim is going to be lost profits, for which we'll have the testimony of Ash Abraham, the owner of 911. And in addition, we'll ask the court for costs, attorney's fees, and interest. The attorney's fees from two sources of authority, 38.001, and also from the contract. And the interest will be asking for the highest rate allowable by law. The contract specifies 18%, and also under the Texas Construction Prompt Pay Act, we're going to show the court that we're entitled to 18% rate of interest on all past due amounts.
Mr. Clark?
Yes, Your Honor. My client was approached by Mr. Abraham, I believe the owner of what they call 911, and it was indicated that she needed a new roof, and her ceiling was leaking. It turns out that was all bogus, that it was an air conditioning condensing pipe that was out that did the damage. The roof wasn't needed. There was no amount agreed upon, no certain amount. And so they put a roof up that was not necessary. In addition, this is a little unusual in my experience, because there's no mechanics lien filed in this case. And there's no, I've checked on that. I have not run a complete title search, but I cannot find it. And it's not, my client said it was never received by her. and which raises some red flags. But in their petition, they have not asked for a foreclosure on a lien. So basically, this is an unsecured loan they're suing on, in which there's a lot of ambiguities, and no amount is what the price was. There was some effort to by the plaintiff to get around the to basically, I guess you'd say, make a side deal from the insurance company that they could get around the shall we say the money that would have been paid by the homeowner, the deductible, and so that very likely will come out during the trial today. We think the evidence will show that this was procured by fraud, and that they should not be entitled to the payment that they're seeking. We just really got into trying to settle it yesterday, because we know your policy of wanting mediations on cases, and it was set on very short notice. I believe I talked on Wednesday, because that was one of the, I believe, things in the motion for continuance from Mr. Benitez. And so we, I believe the letter we received.
Mr. Clark, did your client receive funds from the insurance company she didn't turn over?
She did. She did. And we've.
The work was done?
The work was done.
Okay. And you guys have not settled this?
We have not settled. We had a mediator settlement agreement, and we were very close. It got to how much she could pay, and then it did not. I'll say one other thing. Mr. Benitez said there was a mechanics lien, and has told me, but he is not. And maybe I didn't interpret what Mr. Benitez said, because maybe he kind of said it in a cryptic way. So that's going to be some of my first questions if we try the case. And my client will, if I've misstated anything, she'll correct me. It'll be blame me. Don't blame my client if I've misstated anything. So I spent yesterday afternoon here with Mr. Fred Lewis. You had appointed him, and he did a fine job, by the way.
Oh, good. I like to hear that. That's great news. Okay, I guess there's no chance to settle this. It's too bad. All right, Mr. Benitez, call your first witness. And do we want to pre-admit any exhibits?
It's probably complicated.
It's probably better if we just enter them as we go, Judge, because otherwise I think it'll be more efficient if we just offer them up as we go.
How many do you have?
Oh, we got 33, but I don't expect that we're going to use all of those. I expect we'll use 12-ish, 15-ish tops.
Judge, I'd like to know which 12 he's going to.
Let's just go through the testimony, I guess. All right.
My partner, Ms. Ensley, is going to call our first witness, Judge.
Okay, call your first witness.
Plaintiffs call Ash Abraham.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Let's proceed.
State your name for the record, please.
Ash Abraham.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a general contractor, restoration contractor.
What does a general contractor, restoration contractor such as yourself do?
We do all sorts of repairs as far as exterior and interiors. We specialize in handling all restorations. We do inspections first. When we receive a phone call, we do not knock on doors. We get all our business from referrals and customers calling us. We go for inspection. We send the technician out to examine the property, communicate with the homeowner, and explain to them what we find. And the homeowner decides if they want to turn in a claim with their insurance and basically proceed with the process. After that, we wait for the insurance inspection to come out. We usually show up with the insurance adjuster to show them what we find, and basically we wait for an insurance estimate to work off of their work scope. And if there's missing items, the insurance adjuster go in for a secondary inspection, or the homeowner can go for an appraisal process afterward to cover the items that they were missed.
How long have you been a storm restoration general contractor?
My total experience about 34 years in the construction industry, and that particular entity about 8 years.
Okay. What are the main items of work that 911 performs on a regular basis as part of the storm restoration aspect of your work?
The most common will be complete roofing system replacement, the repairs, gutters, windows, window screens, fences. There's a lot more that includes interiors as well, sheetrock, repairs and painting, and it goes for more, but the most common is these items.
Do you hold any certifications?
We do. We are a Master Elite contractor with the GAF, and they hold very high standard to their contract. There's only 2% of all contractors in the United States that actually do hold that certificate, because they hold us to high standard of quality and customer satisfaction.
What is required to obtain a GAF Master Elite certification?
Requires high volume, that we do a lot of projects and high customer service, and we also get a lot of training that they require us to get constant training.
Okay. Are you also a GAF factory certified Master Elite weather stopper?
Yes,
What is that?
they hold us to a high standard again to the roofing system, to install the roofing system on a clean deck. Lots of other contractors will be installing without removing all the underlayment and removing the nails, and basically not installing the system properly with all the flashings, leak barriers, ventilation components properly, and some components might be reused. So again, we are trained on how all of that to be completed correctly.
When you're performing an inspection on a property for possible hail damage, what do you look for?
We look for hail and wind damage, storm related, and what happens when the shingles are made. They're made with fiber, first layer, and then asphalt, and then granule. So most homes in our area, North Texas, have roofing system with shingles, like whether 3 taps or architectural shingles. And what happens, the hail will leave impressions on the shingles. And we look for these distinguished damage hail hits on these shingles. They're either circled or marked. They take photos. And we also look for missing shingles or any kind of roof penetrations or disturbance from hail, wind. High wind also can cause interior leaks.
So besides looking at the shingles, do you look at anything else at the property to determine whether or not there might be hail damage?
Absolutely. Our technician will look at the gutter system, also soft metal, fence, window screens. I mean, the entire exterior of the property gets inspected for hail damage, because hail will leave impressions.
How do you know the defendant here, Ms. Raymond?
She was referred actually to us from one of her friends who we replaced her roofing system. and she was very happy. Her name is Jennifer. I cannot recall her last name. And she don't live too far, and I believe they're teachers, but they are friends. And she referred her over to us, and that's how she got my number and our company number, and we received the call from her.
So who contacted who as between 911 and Ms. Raymond?
Mrs. Raymond contacted us.
Do you remember anything about that initial contact?
Yes, all I can recall is that she called, and I believe she called me personally, and around March the 15th, I believe, and then I received her phone call, and I asked her to please go ahead and text me her info. I wasn't sure if I could write or drive, and so there is a text that I received from her with her info.
Your Honor, I'm going to share screen.
Let me go ahead and enable that. Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Abraham, let me see if I can get rid of some of these things here.
Whoa, you got to go to question and answer format. So let her.
I'm sorry? So do you recognize this document here that's been marked as Exhibit 1?
Yes, I do.
What is this document?
This is